Ever since we moved here and started our garden, I've been more connected to seasons. Seeing with your own eyes exactly when fruits and vegetables are in season has opened my eyes to the idea of seasonal eating. I believe that eating seasonally is not only better for environment, but also is better for our health. If we are at all part of nature, then it only makes sense that our bodies need the nutrients that we can find in nature at each season. But most of all, seasonal eating gets me excited for the next coming season. Each season brings new foods to our table, and there's always something to look forward to. January is the start of the orange season here in Portugal, and I assume in other places of similar climate too. And I always look forward to winter here just for this reason. I love citrus fruits, and we are very lucky to have them growing in our garden. Preserving food is one way to extend that season a little bit. It also helps with food waste, because sometimes it's almost impossible to eat all the fruit fresh, and it just goes to waste. And as I mentioned in the previous video, one of my goals this year is learn more about food preserving and try different methods, but most importantly, incorporating those preserves in our daily meals. Today I am trying to make orange marmalade. It's my first time making it, and I don't want you to think that I know what I'm doing. I want this video to be more of an inspiration to try making something instead of a how-to video. Since it was my first time, I tried to follow one recipe, and I will link it in the description. So to start off your marmalade, you first have to wash and sterilize the jars. You have to wash the oranges, and then you can peel them with a sharp peeler or sharp knife. You want to peel off only the orange part without peeling off the white flesh, because that's the bitter part of the fruit. Cut the skin into fine strips, or to your own liking. The amount of skin that you take off and cut them in the strips is really up to you. If you want your jam to be chunkier, you can add more skins to it. If you want it to be more smooth and clear, then you can add less. I also took a little bit of zest to not have that many chunks in my jam. To take any bitterness from the skins, you will have to boil them 3 times for 10 minutes each, and boiling them in clean water each time. This is something that very much differs between different recipes, but I did it and ended up having no bitterness in my jam. While that is boiling, cut the white fleshy part off from oranges as best as you can. I was quite surprised how little of the orange is left after that, and for that reason it was difficult to find a recipe that gives the right amounts of ingredients. It was asking for 3 to 4 oranges, but I used way more and adjusted the sugar to the usual jam principle to 50-50. 50% fruit and 50% sugar. But I can say right now that I could have used less sugar because it came out very sweet. This recipe was asking to cut out only the orange part of the oranges and leave the white skins that divide the slices out, because again it can make it bitter. I did try that at first, but my oranges were very small and their skins were very thin, so I ended up just cutting them up and leaving in. That did mean that my oranges wouldn't fall apart while cooking, so I had to blend it a little. And for the next time, I would blend them up already before cooking to make things easier. I can also attest that leaving those skins didn't make my jam bitter at all. When you have oranges ready and the zest strips ready, you can mix them together, add sugar. The recipe also asks to add some water, but need to be very careful with that because I added too much and I ended up having trouble thickening it all up. So I would say add as much water as it seems necessary. Then simmer while mixing every now and then for at least an hour. When you are ready, pour your jam in jars and let them cool down before storing in the fridge. My marmalade didn't thicken to the point I wanted, but I put it in jars anyway, and it's still absolutely delicious. Hi all, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I really hope you also try it out if you grow oranges in your gardens. I was a bit surprised by how many different kinds of methods are there out there to make it, and that's actually quite a lot more complicated than I thought. But I tried it out. In the end, as you could see, it didn't go all as per recipe that I looked up online. Here's my result. As you can see, it's not very marmalade textured, but it is still like a jam mostly. So this is already a few days after it's already been in the fridge, so in theory this should have been more solid by now, but nevertheless it tastes absolutely delicious. Lots of people were suggesting to use oranges that are not quite ready and sweet yet. We have two different types of oranges in our garden, and ones are that are ready earlier and they are bigger and they're like proper sweet and really good to eat just raw as a fruit. And then we have other two trees that are smaller oranges. Their skin is also not as thick, they don't peel as nicely, but the tree is completely loaded and they are just not as sweet. And I should have used more of those, but I was kind of afraid because they are almost still quite yellow. You could see I used some of them in the video. They are not even that bright orange yet, so I was afraid that it will be too sour. And now after tasting what I have made, I realized really why people want it to be more sour, the oranges, instead of sweet. If the orange as a fruit is really sweet and really ripe, and you add a lot of sugar to it, you really lose a lot of that orange flavor. I did my jam came out full of flavor, but I really could have used a lot less of sugar in this case, or I could have used more of the more sour oranges that more are not quite as ripe yet. And I will definitely try to make another batch. I hope this video inspires you to try something and try using out your seasonal fruits and vegetables, whatever you have in the garden, and try using those things and try to preserve those things and try making something out of them, even though you don't really know how to do it, because this was like one of the first times I'm making a jam at all, and here I am. And even though it didn't came out as it was supposed to be, it is absolutely delicious. It's an orange jam. It is a bit more liquidy than maybe you're supposed to have, but it is absolutely delicious, and I'm eating it almost every day. And yeah, that's all I want to say. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try and just use something that you have in the garden. Learn with me. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments, and what should I have done differently. Let me know, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.